Okay, hello everybody. I am Fátima Casaú. I'm software engineer since 7 years ago. Actually, I work in paradigma tecnológico such as Java Architect and Scrum Master. Since 6 years ago, I work with Groovy and Grails technologies, and recently I'm working with Spring Boot. So for this, I'm stay here today for talking about my experience about this. Well, in short, what are we going to see in this talk? I'm going to talk about Spring Boot and Groovy and where you could use Groovy in your Spring Boot applications. We go to see what is Spring Boot and what is Groovy, and where could you use Groovy and Spring Boot together. For example, using Gradle, developing tests with Groovy and Spock, using Groovy templates, or why not anywhere in your applications. Also, we go to see the use of GORM and GSPs in a Spring Boot project outside of Grails. In first place, we go to see what is Spring Boot and how many people here use Spring Boot. Okay. So as many as you know, Spring Boot is a new project from Spring that allows you to develop Spring MVC applications easily. Probably you think about the many configurations there are in a Spring project, but with a Spring Boot, follow convention over configurations and allows auto-configuration and configuration with annotations. For this, we had not the necessity of manage XML configuration files. On the other hand, Spring Boot allows you to start and build production applications easily because provides an embedded container and database according to the dependencies specified in the build system. Additionally, we can use Groovy, of course, all of its features only including a dependency in the build system. And finally, we can run applications quickly thanks to the Spring Boot CLI tool. Of course, you can see more documentation and examples about all of this in its website. In each point of this presentation, we go to see some examples of code of each point. In this example, I go to see a little but powerful example. We can develop an application that can be contained in a single tweet. Could be many of you already view this example, but I show you. First of this, I want to talk about the JVM tool. JVM tool is a tool for managing versions of multiple software development kits. To use it, you can download in its website jvmtool.net. Once you have downloaded, you can see which frameworks are available. We go to see an example. For example, if we type JVM, we can see the list of candidates. Okay, one moment. Okay. We can see the list of candidates that we can use with JVM tool. And once you have installed JVM tool, only you want to need is type JVM install Spring Boot, and this install the tool. To see a list of versions installed, I can type JVM list Spring Boot. Sorry, JVM. Oh. Here we can see the list of available versions of Spring Boot and the version that I installed in my computer and the version that I currently use in my computer. If we type JVM list Groovy, for example, we can see the list of Groovy version of JVM list Grails or JVM list Cradle. So, once we have installed Spring Boot, we can run this Groovy script. And this is the example. This is a Groovy script, a simple Groovy script with an annotation that controller. Add controller, that means this is a controller component. And we have two more annotations, request mapping and response body, that specify the URI of the application, and later a method that prints hello world message. To run this, we type we go to Spring run hello world, and this is start the application. It's finished, and we go to the browser and type localhost 8080 and print the message. That's it. Okay. Well, in second place, we talk about Groovy, and here, how many people knows Groovy, and how many people use Groovy currently in his work, and how many people use Groovy and Spring Boot together? Okay. Well. As many as you know, Groovy is a dynamic language, optionally typed with static typing and static compilation capabilities for the Java platform. Thanks to an easy and expressive syntax, it's easy to learn for Java developers, so there aren't excuses for Java developers. Furthermore, it integrates easily with any Java program, delivering powerful features including closure, runtime and compile time metaprogramming, scripting, powerful tests, and so on. So if we combine the power of Spring Boot with the future of Groovy, we obtain a couple of powerful tools that allow to developers work in an easy and more productive, interesting, and amazing way. Well, where could you use Groovy, or where could you introduce Groovy in your Spring Boot application? In short, we can use Groovy in a Spring Boot application anywhere. But we saw the different sites in the project where you can use it bit by bit. The first option is use Groovy in the build system using Gradle. With Spring Boot, we can build our applications using Maven, but also we can use Gradle. And with Maven, we have to manage a static XML file, the POM XML file. And for me, I don't like manage XML file. But with Gradle, we have a flexible and modular Groovy file that it's more easy to read thanks to a friendly syntax based on Groovy DSLs and a plugin model. With Gradle, we have a powerful building tool with many features such as multi-project, support for multi-project, dependency management, based on Apache Ivy, and support and integration with Maven and Ivy repositories. Also, we have a large list of tasks based on Ant to manage our application. We go to see a simple build.gradle file, and as I said before, we can manage the version of GVM the version of Gradle with GVM tool. Only we need to type GVM install Gradle, and once you have installed and you create the build.gradle file, you only need to type Gradle build, and this is compile, test, and assemble the project in a jar file. Also, we can type Gradle tasks, and this shows a list of tasks available in our project. Here, this is the sample. In this file, we have the use of some plugins such as Groovy, IDEA, or of course Spring Boot. Later, we have the configuration of the project, the name of the project, the version of the project, and below the configuration of the repositories and some dependencies. If you add some dependencies or some plugins, and you type again the command Gradle task, you can see more tasks in the list returned. We go to see an example. Okay, if we type Gradle task, we can see a list of tasks available of this project. Okay. Another site where we can use Groovy in our Spring Boot application is implementing tests with Groovy and Spock. How many people know Spock? What are you doing here? Okay, this is my favorite section, and I like to implement this with Groovy and Spock framework. Why? because Spock is not only a test framework, Spock is a test specification for Groovy and Java projects. With an explicit language, it's also based on Groovy DSLs, and this makes our tests become easy to read and well documented. Moreover, when an assertion fails, the exit is very intuitive and easy to read as well. We go to see an example. Here we have a simple Groovy and Spock test. With Spock, we can define tests with descriptive signatures, and in this case, we have 3 blocks. The first block, setup or given. In this block, we can set up initial variables, for example. In the block when, we can execute an action, and in the block then, we can test the result. In this block, we need an assert, only test if a sentence is true or not, thanks to the use of Groovy true. If you don't know the use of Groovy true, read about this because it's very interesting. In the second example, we use 2 more blocks, the block expect and the block where. This block, we can test different combination of data, as you can see here. And we can test these 3 combinations. And we will see which iteration is failed. For example, in this case, the third combination fails, and the result is as this. Okay. It's very easy to read the failure, and in addition to this, we have more features with the use of many tags and other methods such as setup spec, clean spec, and many more. Okay. Other example to introduce Groovy in the Spring Boot project is the use of Groovy templates. Groovy template framework is based on Markup Builder, and that permits a pretty and easy way to write readable Groovy views using Groovy DSLs. Also provide an easy way to replace variables in the view. We go so a simple example. In this case, we have a UL block inside which iterates a people list, and for each person, we print its name. If we define the list below, and we pass this list to the view, we can render the result below. As you can see, it's easy to manage the code of a view, such as Groovy code. Okay, really, you can use Groovy anywhere in your Spring Boot application. You can use Groovy in your controllers, in your services, in your model. And if we need, we can combine Java and Groovy easily. And if we need to have classes in Java and, on the other hand, classes in Groovy, it is possible. And you must know that the most important features of use Groovy over Java is that our applications will be very simple, expressive, and flexible, and we'll have less code. And if we have less code, we will have less errors. And if we have less errors, we will be more productive. Furthermore, with Groovy, we have many features available than with Java, because Groovy provides the GDK as an extension of the JDK with many more features about the use of string, collections, control structures, closures, and so on. Finally, you can think about the compilation in runtime or dynamic typing, but if you are worried about this, you must know that you can use static typing and static compilation with the use of the annotation at compile static and at type. In the next example, I want to show any different, only the same Groovy script that I showed before, and only you need to add the annotation at compile static in the definition on the class to use this, and this code should already run as fast as Java. Okay, now two important points, the use of GORM and the use of GSPs outside of Grails. Since Grails 2.4, it's possible to use GORM outside of Grails, and this permits access to relational database or MongoDB with GORM in a Spring Boot application, only including the correct dependency in the build system. With GORM, we can map the entities automatically, and we have dynamic finders and criteria, persistent methods, validations, and more. And we don't need implement methods such as getter and setters, constructors, or specify the primary key. So with these features, our code is even simple. We go to see an example. Here we have an entity implemented with Groovy and with GORM with the annotation at entity indicates that we are using GORM, and we can specify some constraint easily, as you can see, and also we can specify mapping options. For example, that the first name cannot be blank, or the last name cannot be blank, or that the name of the column first name is like this, or the name of the table. And if you don't specify the name of the columns or the name of the table, this will be the same as the class. In the next example, we go to see the use of a class mapping with GORM. We can instance new object passing a map in the constructor, and we don't implement this constructor. Also, we can use the finders dynamic, such as find all, get, or find by any attribute, or find all by any attribute, and many more methods, and that's all. Another point is the use of GSPs outside of Grails. With GSPs, we have a large list of tag libraries that we can use to make our views more simple. Also, we can create easily our own tags, or we can define layouts, templates, and reuse the code easily. We go to see a little example. In this example, we go to see the use of some tags, such as the tag gif and the tag gels. In the next example, the use of iterator tags, such as geach, or a finder with a list and passing an expression as a condition. And also, we can see the use of gdate format to format the date in the view easily. and the use of the tag grender to render templates passing a model easily. Also remind that you can implement your own tags easily. We go very quickly. Okay, conclusions. After all of this, we talk about the conclusion, or almost my conclusions. If you use Groovy, as I've said before, your application has less lines of code, so less errors, and if there are errors, you can find them easily. So finally, you will be more productive. Remind that with Groovy, you can get more features for your project. You can implement cool tests, and you can use cool utilities. And this is, you have a super vitaminized project. For all of this, please use Groovy. Try to introduce Groovy bit to bit in the application. For example, begin to developing Spock tests, later introduce Groovy in the code of your services or any other utility classes. And I want to do a reflection. In this talk, we talk about the Spring MVC application, we talk about the convention over configuration, we talk about the bootstrapping application, Groovy, Worm, GSPs. So, sorry. We talk about Spring MVC application, convention over configuration, bootstrapping, Groovy, Grails. So it sounds like Grails, no? And also, Grails 3.0 is built on Spring Boot. So I want to leave you with a question. Why not use Grails instead of Spring Boot? That's all. I want to show you a simple project example. It's a simple REST API. One moment. Do you see okay? This is a simple Spring Boot application, and here we have a domain class customer, two attributes, first name, last name, some constraints, method to string. In other hand, we have a customer controller with some controller to expose a API REST. And as you can see, it's very simple. And in other hand, here we have the main application, that's Groovy file, where I create some instance of the entity and print out the result. At last, we have some test, some spec test. For example, this is a test with the use of spec and where blocks, and we test 2 blocks. So we go to run the application, it's integrated with Gradle, and we go to run. Very slowly. Oh. Okay. I run again. Okay. If we go to see, sorry, I won't run the test, nor the application, sorry, to show you the reports. This execute the test. The test finished, and we go to show the reports. Okay, it's very easy to see the exit of the test with the params that I pass in the test. Okay. Only one more thing. In Paradigma, we are hiring people specialized in many technologies, as you can see. And if you are interested, or you know somebody that could be interested, please send us the CV. And that's all.